If you followed me for a while on this channel, you know I talked a few times around security, data privacy, and that kind of topics because it is close to my heart. Born and raised in Switzerland, I really appreciate data privacy. I do understand it's a very complex topic that's not as easy because you always have to kind of like public safety as well as the individual's privacy. And obviously people have opinion. It's a polarizing topic. What got me a little bit thinking recently is the whole TikTok topic. TikTok and WeChat is something that the US government feels like, hey, you know what? There's a company out there that has a social app like Facebook, similar, that a lot of people use. And we know people share all kinds of things over social media depending on the person, but a lot of people share a lot of intimate details. And so it feels like a risk that, the Chinese government could, for example, subpoena the company that owns that service and say, hey, we want data about this person. And this person may live in the United States. This person might be a United States citizen. And they don't even know that WeChat or TikTok may give that information to the Chinese government. And what if the Chinese government were to, misuse that data or use the data to their advantage for whatever reason? So there is a risk, and that risk says, okay, you know what, we gotta block these services. Now, I think up to this point, everybody agrees and can understand the rationale, but what to me was a bit surprising is that was always the number one fear that we battled in Switzerland, in Europe. Working for Microsoft, advocating to use the Microsoft cloud, the number one fear always was like, but what if the US government goes to Microsoft, gives them a gag order so Microsoft can't even talk about it, says, give me the data of that bank. Give me the data of that person in Switzerland without going through the official channels, legal channels, treaties that countries have that, if you have somebody and you search for him, you can ask a government for legal assistance and, they may or may not arrest the person and send it back. And so governments like Switzerland, even today, they're still trying to look into it. Should Switzerland create its own cloud system, its own technology companies that is, completely disconnected to not be depending on the United States? Now, many telcos I know have not been that successful with building their own clouds. It's somehow complicated. It's not that easy to get right. But what would that mean for the economy? If, in our case, the United States, we may not get access to TikTok. We may not get access to WeChat. If you don't use the service, you really don't care. If you use the service, you may care. But what if really every government is like, you know what? We can't use this technology company because it's an American company. I can't use this because it's that. But somehow we are a global construct. We are a global economy. So it's very interesting to me to see right now these dynamics of, hey, you know what? I somehow don't like it. But in recent or in the history, we had these cases. Microsoft sued the US government more than once over data requests that they felt is unlawful because the speculation or the arguments brought to the court was like, if Microsoft says, hey, this server or this data center is in Dublin, you really need to go through the Dublin government, ask them for legal assistance, they can come to us and then we can give you the data. And the US government argued that, wait, it doesn't matter where your server is, what matters is who owns it. In that case, it's a US entity. Microsoft is an American company, so we should have our laws apply. And that's really a slippery road, right? Because Alibaba, being a big cloud provider as well, or WeChat or TikTok that we see, where it's like, okay, even if the server were in the United States, if China argues, it doesn't matter where the server stands as long as I have as it's a Chinese company. And that's what the whole thing is about right now, right? When you saw about the deal of different companies wanting to buy TikTok, is about that the ownership of the entity wouldn't be Chinese, so that argument wouldn't apply anymore. But it's very interesting. And so what I really want to recommend to all of you is there's a book called Tools and Weapons, The Promise and the Peril of the Digital Age. It's by Brad Smith and Carol N. Browne. it's really a book. It doesn't matter if you're in IT or not. I guarantee you it's a book you all should read. It's about this fine line of liberty. And it was really interesting and insightful for me to learn, like in law requests from Brazil, that they have to go to the US government and the FBI goes to Microsoft and there's data exchanged and when it's not exchanged and when we sue them. And just the sensitivity of that information and what it means, that data, that privacy that should be protected. And so, yeah, let me know, comment, reach out, definitely read the book. I'm going to put up a link. Honestly, read it. I'm on the second time going through it because it's really so insightful and it's something that I believe in the long term from an economic standpoint as well from a society standpoint. There are to be trust. We have allies. We should be able to use, Microsoft computers or whatever. And yes, of course, I say that I work for Microsoft and I want economically that we can be successful. But this is bigger than Microsoft. This is really about how do we respect each other as countries' borders, and go through established processes or actually take the time to renew those processes which are being made. But anyhow, interesting times we live in. Super sensitive topic, and I really do look forward to hear from you what you think about it. Thank you.